In the dimly lit chapel, where the scent of lilies hung heavy in the air, the mournful sound of weeping filled the room. Friends and family gathered, their faces etched with grief, as they paid their last respects to a woman they believed had left this world. Little did they know, the woman in the casket, whom they thought was lifeless, was just beginning her extraordinary journey back to consciousness. Imagine the shock, the sheer disbelief when, awakening from a deep coma, she found herself surrounded by grieving loved ones, her own funeral taking place right in front of her eyes. You might be wondering, how is this even possible? Let me assure you, her story is astonishing, layered with mystery, and laced with profound insights about life, death, and the unexpected twists that fate can deliver. Stay with us as we delve into this incredible true story. It not only shatters the boundaries of what we think we know about life and death, but also brings to light many curiosities and emotional revelations that challenge our perception of mortality. By the end of this exploration, you'll find astonishment intertwined with hope, compelling you to reconsider those moments we often take for granted. Now, picture this, a young woman named Eliza. Vibrant, full of life, her laughter could fill a room. She was the heart of her family, the friend who always showed up with a warm meal or a shoulder to cry on. Yet life had its plans. One fateful evening, Eliza was in a horrific car accident. The impact was devastating, and as emergency personnel rushed her to the hospital, doctors quickly assessed her condition. You may be shocked to hear this, but despite intensive efforts, they declared her clinically dead. But what does clinically dead really mean? According to contemporary medical understanding, it often refers to the cessation of all vital signs, including heartbeat and respiration, usually confirmed after a specific time frame. Yet, her story challenges that exact definition. While doctors prepared to notify her distraught family, little did they realize they were on the brink of an unbelievable turn of events. As her family flooded the hospital, crushed by the weight of the news, they had no idea that at that very moment, Eliza's body, while appearing lifeless, was engaged in a complex interplay of biological systems. You might find it hard to accept, but theories suggest that under certain extreme conditions, a person can enter a state resembling death while still being alive, a phenomenon known as suspended animation. This detail piques curiosity. How often do we jump to conclusions about someone's condition without understanding the full picture? In Eliza's case, it would be hours later, long after doctors had given up hope, that the lines on the machines began to stir and pulse. Breath, once lost, seemed to return, a flicker of life surged forth. The medical staff, who had turned their attention elsewhere, were suddenly drawn back into the theater of the miraculous. As they rushed to her side, a baffling reality unfolded. Eliza was waking from a long, dark sleep, shattering the very foundations of the medical assumptions made just hours before. Imagine for a moment the feelings that would wash over her at that moment, confusion mixing with clarity, fear chasing joy as she navigated the strange terrain of consciousness while cocooned in a veil of another world. What did she feel? What did she experience in those mysterious depths between life and death? You may find yourself grappling with these questions, seeking the answers to a story that falls firmly into the realm of the extraordinary. As Eliza opened her eyes, the world around her began to come into focus. But the most staggering revelation awaited her as she perceived muffled voices, her family, their sobs transformed into gasps of disbelief as they recognized their beloved daughter, sister, and friend, grasping at the reality of her sudden reawakening. Is this real? They must have thought, lost in simultaneous waves of joy and skepticism. This moment didn't just change Eliza, it changed everything for those who loved her. It sparked conversations about life, love, and the very meaning of our existence, a theme that resonates deeply with us all. Now, let's reflect on this. How many of us fear the idea of death? It's a universal dread, rooted in the unknown and entangled with our own mortality. Yet Eliza's story dares us to confront these fears head-on, reminding us of the resilience of the human spirit. What's compelling here is that her experience stepped beyond mere survival. it reshaped the narrative surrounding death itself. As the initial shock began to wane, Eliza faced another challenging journey, the road to recovery. Despite having risen from the metaphorical ashes, the physical ramifications of her accident were formidable. Hospitalized for months, she underwent extensive rehabilitation. There were struggles with mobility, therapy sessions filled with tears and frustration, and the lingering questions about her near-death experience. What insights did she gather during her time in that liminal space? Did she perceive life differently? These questions beckon you to ponder depths you've perhaps never considered before. We often hear of near-death experiences, but the nature of what Eliza encountered transcended typical accounts. Research in this area reveals that many people nearly touching death report vivid experiences, such as feelings of peace, bright lights, or encounters with loved ones. Could this have been a shared experience for Eliza as well? Thoughts like these raise the stakes of our understanding of consciousness, death, and the afterlife. As her journey continued, Eliza found comfort in writing. Journaling her thoughts and reflections became a therapeutic outlet, a means to process and understand her experience. Here's something you didn't expect, you may be thinking, but many survivors of traumatic events often find solace and healing through creative expression. This trajectory of healing led Eliza to explore her revelations more deeply, igniting her desire to understand life, death, and rebirth on a fundamental level. While Eliza scribbled her revelations, her family transformed their grief into advocacy, sharing her story far and wide. They believed in the power of her experience to inspire others grappling with the fragility of life. They embarked on speaking engagements, bringing together stories of hope and resilience in the face of insurmountable odds. You can imagine the profound impact her story had not only on those who knew her but also on strangers who found hope through her journey. As you digest this, consider how narratives of survival change the landscape of our understanding surrounding illness and recovery. While we often compartmentalize death into a series of grim statistics, Eliza's resurrection from the clutches of despair serves as a powerful reminder: hope can transcend even the grim equation of mortality. But there's more to this narrative, intricately woven with emotional strain, societal perception, and an underlying truth that challenges norms. Eliza's story reflects not just personal survival but a broader commentary on how society views death. Can we redefine our relationship with life and death based on stories like hers? Can we embrace the complexities of existence rather than paint it in absolutes? Picture Eliza, a year later, finding herself at the heart of a public forum discussing the boundaries of medical science and the mystery of life and death. As she spoke, her voice steady yet laden with the weight of her experience, she shared powerful insights that struck a chord in everyone present. What comes next will leave you speechless, you might say, as you imagine the crowd hanging onto her every word, wrestling with the elusiveness of an understanding we all strive for. As she addressed the audience, it became evident how transformative her experience had been. Eliza spoke about the grounding perspective a brush with death had instilled in her. She urged people to live fully, to embrace joy, and not to take the fleeting moments for granted, a sentiment that resonates deeply with each of us as we navigate our busy lives. But what about the questions that lingered in the air? Eliza had to face the uncertain aftermath of her rebirth, emotionally, psychologically, and socially. What had changed in her relationships? Would the world see her as a survivor or simply the woman who woke up at her own funeral? These dilemmas follow many survivors of extraordinary circumstances, but Eliza's determination to forge ahead became her cornerstone. As curious minds eager to learn, we must ask ourselves, what about those left behind? For all the transformations Eliza underwent, her family also confronted a profound journey of healing. They dealt with their intertwined emotions, a blend of joy and lingering pain, gratitude tinged with sorrow. This shared narrative of trauma speaks volumes about the far-reaching implications of surviving such a surreal experience. As we approach our transition point in this captivating tale, you might be wondering what awaits us in the next chapter of Eliza's life. How did her near-death experience influence her perspective further, and what revelations did she uncover about living a meaningful life? What advice would she impart to those grappling with their own mortality? Join me as we continue to unravel this extraordinary journey, enriched with insights that echo through the corridors of existence, and discover the boundless strength of the human spirit alive amidst challenges. Stay tuned for the conclusion of this story that goes far beyond waking up at one's own funeral. Eliza's journey into the depths of recovery was both a testament to her strength and a complex navigation of her new reality. As she spoke at various events and shared her story, she began to see the world through a lens shaped profoundly by her near-death experience. But the question lingered: how does one return from the brink of death and adjust to living fully in a world they had, for a fleeting moment, transcended? Months flew by, and as Eliza immersed herself in healing, she discovered a purpose that extended far beyond personal recovery. She found herself deeply inspired by the concept of mindfulness, a practice that emphasizes being present and appreciating the moment, a lesson she learned when she was teetering on the edge of existence. With this newfound focus, Eliza began teaching workshops that encouraged others to embrace mindfulness and understand the transformative power of gratitude. Imagine those workshops filled with faces reflecting hope and curiosity, individuals grappling with their own fears and existential questions. Eliza became not just a beacon of survival but a guide who helped them navigate their experiences and emotions. Through sharing her journey, she emphasized the importance of listening to one another's stories and creating safe spaces for dialogue about life, death, and everything in between. What experiences would define her newfound path? As she taught and interacted with those drawn to her story, Eliza often encouraged mental exercises that revealed the power of gratitude. In her workshops, she asked participants to write down 3 things they were thankful for each day. This simple yet profound exercise began to ripple through the audience, transforming the way people perceived their struggles. Participants exchanged stories of loss and grief, emotional scars that now served as points of connection rather than separation. Where Eliza once felt isolated in her experience, she began to see connections everywhere. There was an extraordinary moment during a workshop when a young man, visibly shaken, confessed that he, too, had faced mortality head-on through a chronic illness. They connected on a level that transcended words. Eliza understood the fear that lurked behind his eyes, the uncertainty of daily living that accompanied the shadow of death. In this exchange, she realized her purpose was not only to share her survival but also to empower others to embrace their mortality as a captivating element of life. As Eliza continued on this path, her family remained by her side, rallying around her vision. They became integral collaborators, using their own experiences to humanize the collective trauma of the unexpected. This synergy transformed to a grassroots movement focused on life acknowledgement, working together to dismantle the stigma around death and celebrating the essence of existence itself. They coined the phrase "life beyond the limits," symbolizing their commitment to inviting community conversations around the fragility of life. Now, consider how societal views on illness and death often veil the conversations we need to have. Eliza's family, alongside her, inspired others to embrace their circumstances with tenacity and grace. They formed support groups, granting individuals and families a haven to share their fears and hopes without judgment. Those sessions became a sanctuary, a place where laughter battled with tears, where stories of loss merged seamlessly into narratives of hope and resilience. You may ponder how much we might heal if society embraced discussions around mortality instead of shying away from them. As her workshops gained traction, Eliza also became open to the world of creativity. She allowed herself to explore writing further, weaving her insights into a memoir that recounted her remarkable journey. Through her words, she aimed to delve into the nuances of her experience, the moments of despair intertwined with glimpses of transcendence. This undertaking became cathartic for her, an artful infusion of storytelling laced with therapeutic healing. Reading was another profound passion that emerged in her life. Books provided her with profound realizations, She dove into philosophy, spirituality, and psychology, the very corners of the human experience that echoed back her own journey. Eliza found herself drawn to existential questions that tackled life's meaning and purpose, each chapter coaxing her further along her self-discovery path. After months of hard work, Eliza's memoir was launched, a raw and honest account that not only reflected her journey but also sought to uplift others grappling with life's fragility. Seeing her words bound in a book, shared with the world, was a remarkable milestone. She held a book launch event that turned into a community gathering. Friends, family, and strangers filled the venue, not just to consume her story, but to connect over collective experiences. Would you have believed you could cultivate such a response? You might ask, sensing the powerful energy in the room. It was a transformative moment, one that encapsulated the very essence of her journey. Lives intertwined, and laughter filled the air as everyone celebrated the beauty of existence. The evening transcended the mere act of sharing a book. It became an intimate gathering that celebrated the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. In those deeper reflections, Eliza also recognized the importance of addressing grief and loss within her narrative. Many who attended the launch had faced their own heartaches, and Eliza took it upon herself to honor those feelings. She understood that losing a loved one could leave ripples as profound as those wrought by her experience. We're all connected through our stories, she shared, reminding the audience of the strength found in vulnerability and togetherness. But what about the shadow this experience cast upon her relationships? As much as she thrived in her evolving persona, Eliza had to face the complexities of her connections with new eyes. Initially, her loved ones celebrated her survival, yet Eliza discerned a subtle change in their dynamics. It became clear that her brush with death forged a dissonance. They were still grappling with their fears project onto her circumstances, questioning how to relate to someone who had become a living symbol of a second chance. Navigating these emotions was anything but straightforward. Eliza engaged in open dialogues with her family, expressing her change while extending understanding toward their concerns. They shared laughter alongside tears, speaking openly about the absurdity of life and death. It required patience to rebuild the threads of connection between them, but slowly, they began to understand that her existence was not one to highlight differences. It was an opportunity to deepen the bonds they cherished. As time continued its march forward, Eliza's advocacy efforts spread beyond her local community. She accepted invitations to speak on podcasts, engage with media, and even participate in educational forums. Each platform became another avenue for her to share messages of hope and resilience, leaving indelible imprints on the lives of everyone who encountered her narrative. Her conversations often returned to a central theme: the unpredictability of life and the importance of living it fully. She encouraged everyone to release themselves from the fear of death, emphasizing that acknowledging mortality can catalyze a more profound appreciation for the present. When you embrace life with all its challenges, she'd say, it transforms your perspective and allows you to cherish every fleeting moment. The ripple effect of Eliza's experiences echoed broadly, motivating countless individuals to share their stories. Some reached out to her directly, transformed by her message, echoing sentiments of gratitude for her courage. In these moments, Eliza grasped a simple truth: sharing stories was not just about vulnerability. It became a powerful act of healing, connecting people across diverse backgrounds through common threads of struggle and triumph. As we consider Eliza's evolution, think of the depths of human emotion and resilience she uncovered. She learned to celebrate not just survival but the ongoing journey of living. The energy she emanated became a force that garnered support, compassion, and understanding not only from her immediate circle but from communities around the world. Her story became an intricate tapestry woven with countless threads of human emotions. Intertwined destinies emerged through shared experiences of loss and healing. It's astonishing to ponder how intimacy can blossom through collective survival. Would societies be transformed if more people embraced the narrative of living boldly on the precipice of life, inspired by stories like Eliza's? As the years rolled on, Eliza found herself celebrating not only her own life but becoming a champion for countless others who looked mortality in the face. She reveled in the beauty of ordinary moments, cultivating relationships with empathy, curiosity, and understanding. Each day hosted the potential for joy, reminding her that gratitude could shift perspectives, unraveling hopelessness. In conclusion, the tale of Eliza goes far beyond the mere act of awakening from a state deemed clinically dead. Her journey exemplifies the incredible depths of human resilience, the intricacies of recovery, and the profound discoveries that arise from embracing mortality. Eliza's story unfolds as a reminder for us all: every moment is a gift, fleeting, unpredictable, beautiful. We must approach life with an openness that fosters connection, love, and hope, allowing us to confront our fears and live our truths. As this extraordinary narrative culminates, you're left with an invitation. What will your story be? How will you embrace the dance of life and death, weaving your experiences into the fabric of existence? Life calls for participation in the richest forms of connection, urging us to bask in the shared journey that binds us all. So let us march forward, fueled by the stories that emerged from the depths and spread hope in a world that continually craves the warmth of understanding and togetherness.